Tesla's new Gigafactory in Germany has just received official approval from local officials and could be officially opening in around 2 weeks. In this video, I want to talk about how Tesla's new factory in Germany is going to allow Tesla to completely dominate the European EV market, much in the same way that they currently dominate the US electric vehicle market. So without further ado, let's dive into the details. Earlier today, the @MLUK Brandenburg Twitter account tweeted this out to announce that Tesla's new Gigafactory has officially received approval. In the image there, you can see all the notebooks of information that Tesla had to provide, and in the middle there is a stack of paper officially authorizing the approval. For further details, I followed the link that the Brandenburg Twitter account put in this tweet, and it took me to an official Brandenburg government webpage where they mentioned that this factory, at least in its current size, will produce up to 500,000 vehicles per year, and also confirmation that this facility is also going to produce battery cells. Do note that while Tesla has received official confirmation and approval for their factory, there are still a few more things they need to take care of before they officially open this plant. For example, they still need to install measuring devices for air pollutants to monitor air quality, and also certain precautions for fire protection and accidents need to be put into place. When it comes to how quickly Tesla will be able to meet these requirements and actually get the factory open, Alex on Twitter provided further clarification saying, Tesla plans to fulfill all requirements for a production start of Giga Berlin in 2 weeks. That would allow start of production March 19th. Now the good news is, although it's going to take a while for Tesla to be able to ramp up this factory to the 500,000 vehicles that they hope to produce in the near future, they have been producing a number of test vehicles and producing a number of vehicles already, so the ramp up has already begun. Recently, Saw Your Merit on Twitter had a nice thread with some information that he got from Troy Teslike, which mentioned that test production at Gigafactory Berlin was going well, and that they've already reached somewhere around 100 units per day on some days, and that Tesla's aim is to hit a run rate of around 1,000 units per week by the end of April 2022. In addition, by the end of June 2022, Tesla hopes to add another shift to the factory, and sometime in Q3 or Q4, they'll likely make the switch from the 2170 cells to the 4680 battery cells at Gigafactory Berlin. As for where the battery cells and the battery packs will come from for these new Model Ys, initially, he clarifies that Giga Shanghai will supply complete 2170 battery packs until Giga Berlin starts to make their own 4680 battery cells in a few months. Apparently, Gigafactory Shanghai can supply somewhere around 5,000 per week of these battery packs without a problem. This is, of course, really good news, and it shows that Tesla is well on their way to ramping to the somewhere around 10,000 units per week that will be needed to achieve 500,000 units per year, but 1,000 by the end of April per week is already really impressive and is already somewhere around 10% of the goal already. So with those announcements in mind, let's now talk about the European car market and talk about why it's so important for Tesla. According to Statista.com, when it comes to new car registrations in 2021, the European car market was the third largest globally. Now, while Europe may be number 3 when it comes to the total market for 2021, when it comes to EV market share, according to data from Statista.com and also CNBC, in 2021, EVs, which include battery electric vehicles and also plug-in hybrid electric vehicles, accounted for somewhere around 19.5% of all vehicles sold in Europe. When you compare that to just the 3.6% EV market share in the United States, this shows just how important the European market really is for electric vehicle manufacturers. Now, when it comes to Tesla's market share in the United States, Tesla's home country, according to CNBC, in 2021, they had somewhere around 60% of all EV sales in the United States. Also, according to data from Canalys.com, when you look at the global EV market share, which once again includes battery electric vehicles and plug-in hybrid electric vehicles, Tesla is only slightly ahead of Volkswagen. However, it's important to note that Tesla has been very limited in Europe because they've had to export vehicles initially from the United States and then more recently vehicles from Tesla's Giga Factory in Shanghai, China. Also, until recently, you couldn't get the Model Y in Europe until they recently started exporting some Model Ys from Tesla's Giga Factory in Shanghai, China to Europe. But previously, only the Model 3 was available when it comes to a lower cost option for a Tesla in Europe. Now with Tesla's new factory in Germany opening up, they're going to be able to sell a lot more Model Ys to the European market, and I believe they're going to take a huge amount of market share, way more than they currently have in Europe. One of the reasons I believe this is going to happen, that Tesla is going to not only maintain a lead globally, but then start taking over more market share in markets like Europe, is because Tesla has some very huge goals for their future that are much higher than every other major EV manufacturer worldwide. For example, this is something I've talked about in the past, but in September of 2020, Elon Musk mentioned that he sees Tesla reaching around 20 million vehicles being produced per year somewhere probably before 2030. And this is way more than any major automaker has plans for. As you can see in this chart, I've researched out the EV goals for these major manufacturers, VW, Toyota, Ford, and GM, and even Volkswagen, which has been very aggressive in their transition to electric vehicles, doesn't have a goal anywhere near 20 million units by 2030. In the end, even if Tesla is only able to produce somewhere around 10 million electric vehicles per year in 2030, 50% of their goal, this is still going to be quite a bit higher than all the other EV manufacturers have plans for, meaning Tesla is building the infrastructure right now to be able to produce that many electric vehicles. Not only the factories, but also the battery capacity and how to produce that many batteries. And of course, if you don't plan for that many vehicles, it's going to be hard to produce that many vehicles in the future, because building factories and building supply chains takes time. Tesla is doing that work now. And while other EV manufacturers like Volkswagen are taking this seriously, they still don't have the plans for nearly as many electric vehicles as Tesla. So even if the market demanded more EVs from these manufacturers than they could produce, Tesla would be the one instead to gobble up this extra demand if these other manufacturers are unable to produce as many EVs as Tesla is in the future. So when you combine this all together and you look at Tesla's current roadmap for Europe, it sure appears like they have the ability to dominate in the near future as the Model Y production ramps up from Giga Factory Berlin. And also remember that Giga Factory Shanghai is currently exporting Model Ys to Europe, and I believe they will do that for some time as they ramp up the Giga Factory in Berlin, until the point to where the Giga Factory in Berlin is able to completely keep up with the European demand. Do let me know what you think in the comments section below. Do you think Tesla will be able to dominate the European market much like they do the US market right now with this new factory opening up in Germany? I also want to remind you that the 2022 Electric SUV Buyer's Guide is now also available at Cleanerwatt.com. You can purchase an instantly downloadable digital magazine formatted copy of the 2022 Buyer's Guide, which has information on around 29 electric SUVs with over 60 pages of content. You can find out more at Cleanerwatt.com. Well, thank you so much for watching this video all the way through to the end. I'd like to take a moment to thank the Patreon supporters who support me every month and help make this content possible. A special thank you to my performance supporters and also the other supporters listed on the screen. If you'd like to find out more about the Patreon community I've set up, I'll put a link in the description below. Thank you so much.